back, ladies and gentlemen, to Bright Mind Biosciences channel. Joining us, as always, CEO Ian McDonald. Welcome back, sir.
How are you?
Living the dream, brother. Yourself?
Doing great.
It's always good to see you. So last we discussed, we got into your pipeline of psychedelics. We talked about the NASDAQ uplisting with the ticker DRUG and uniquely your 25 chemists working around the clock. But today I kind of focus more on your team with the leading scientific officer, Dr. Alan Kozakowski, if I'm saying that correctly, and Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Ravati Srinaz. What can you tell us about how they provide to the team and exactly what they're doing for Bright Minds?
Yeah, so Alan Kozakowski is our Chief Scientific Officer. He's also one of the co-founders of Bright Minds. And Alan was really sought out by me because he is one of the top serotonergic drug discoverers and developers out there. He started his career off, learning about chemistry. He went to Michigan. After that, he went to Berkeley to get his PhD and also went to Harvard. At Harvard, he studied under a Nobel Prize winner named E.J. Corey, and really there got not interested not only in chemistry, but also into biology. Biology is just understanding how these drugs work in your body. Chemistry is more designing them. So he went on to a 40-year career working at a number of institutions like the Mayo Clinic, Georgetown University, and was focused on mental health drugs and drugs that work in the brain. A lot of those being psychoactive drugs. So believe it or not, he's actually probably, I would say, either the most or one of the most authorities on cocaine analogs. It's been a number of years developing agents in that class to work as drugs to help wean people off of cocaine addiction. Actually invented a drug called nocaine, which never got passed due to FDA issues there, and I don't think they wanted to put out a drug like that, which had which was much better for you, but still had its own liabilities. It was pretty similar to what you're seeing in the opioid space with some of the drugs there to take you off of some of the weaker opioids to take you off. So very, very well versed in terms of his knowledge, not only in serotonergic drugs, but also in a number of different other mechanisms in the brain, dopamine, NMDA, which he worked on for a long period of time. So with him, we really have the benefit of 40 years of really focused drug development experience. He understands how the brain works. He understands how to target the brain to do to fix the circuit disorders which may be disruptive, and that's evidenced through. I believe he has over 500 papers, which is peer-reviewed papers published, which is an enormous figure. Over 50 patents to his name, and a number of drugs that have made it very far through the development pipeline. He also has a cancer company he developed all the science for, which is probably about $1 billion company now. And we luckily lured him out of retirement and into working at Bright Minds, and yeah, couldn't be happier to have him on board. And he not only brings his own mind, but a very strong Rolodex of relationships. And these are collaborators he's worked with over the years, whether it be in academia or in industry, that really help accelerate our company and really help us identify and fine-tune the molecules that we will shape the future of mental health.
That's incredible. You want to speak a little bit about Dr. Ravati as well here? It's nice to hear all the insights you have.
Yeah, so Ravati Srinivas is a medical doctor. She actually started her career off working in academia as well. She was actually a professor at Stanford, at Columbia, in their medical school. Worked as a practicing medical doctor in pulmonary and critical care. And for the last, call it 20, 25 years, she's been working in industry as a chief medical officer in a number of different companies with a number of different drugs, and has quite a lot of experience in the CNS field, which is it's a fancy way of saying brain drugs. So she's worked on a number of successful clinical programs, drugs that you can go to your doctor and get prescribed today. Zolriamfetol was a drug that she worked with Jazz Pharmaceuticals. There have been countless others I don't really have time to get into, unfortunately, but long story short, she's incredibly well versed in clinical trial design and execution. So we're very happy to have her, and her running a team of clinical practitioners.
Really appreciate those insights. I wouldn't mind touching a bit on Dr. Gideon Shapiro as well, as one of the co-founders who trained as an organic chemist at the University of North Carolina. Exactly how did you guys come about working together on the Bright Minds, and just any other insights you can offer there too?
Yeah, so I was really looking for the top minds to solve the specific problems that we're looking to treat at Bright Minds. And in order to address those deficiencies of these first generation molecules, we needed not only the academic expertise that Alan has, but also the commercial expertise that Gideon has. So both of them are trained medicinal chemists. They are both actually studied at under the same professor in Berkeley. That's actually how they know each other. And Gideon was one of the few people, as well as Alan, who really stood out in this space. And we were lucky enough to bring him on board as a co-founder. And Gideon, just to give you a bit of background on him, he after university, he went over to ETH, after he got his PhD at Berkeley, went over to ETH, which is a university in Switzerland. It's basically the Caltech of Switzerland. Did a postdoc there. And after that, he stuck around. He went to actually go work at Sandoz. Sandoz, for those who know a lot about psychedelics, is a name that will stick out. It was the birthplace of LSD. So he actually worked one floor directly below where Albert Hofmann discovered LSD in 1943. So the benefit of working there is they had all of these psychedelic and other serotonergic compounds, these ergotamines, which are the chemical class that LSD comes from. So a lot of built-in knowledge there. And he actually went on to run that entire CNS division for Alzheimer's. So there they created a number of successfully commercial drugs. Acceleron is one of those drugs that's still marketed today. So he started there in the 1980s. Was successful in his career there. They merged with Novartis, had a senior role. But at some point he said, listen, I can do this myself, work at a biotech. And Novartis said, great, listen, we'd love to still work with you. How about we give you some money from this venture fund we just started, which was Novartis Ventures. So he was one of the first companies to get funded out of that, started his entrepreneurial career, worked on a number of successful programs, successful companies. Most recently, he was working at a company as chief scientific officer for a company called Rugen Therapeutics. And Rugen was basically doing the same thing that we're doing now at Bright Minds, which is focusing on next generation versions instead of serotonergic drugs like LSD, psilocybin, they were working on NMDA, which is the pathway that ketamine works on. So creating a next generation version of ketamine. And while at that company, he developed their entire portfolio of drugs. They did 2 deals with Big Pharma, a large deal with Allergan, and another deal with Otsuka Pharmaceuticals. To my knowledge, those are 2 of the only Big Pharma deals that have been done in the psychedelic sector on new chemical entities. So really, I would say is